got one day with this old farmer, 75-year-old, helping to putting up the hay in this haystack. And then I was surprised. He was so cool. Yeah, but his wife was very concerned. Like, oh, he's working too hard, he's so old. Later on in the day, his oldest son came and relieved me and said, "Father, cool down." But his concern was to bring in the hay in the barn, the hay that had been harvested for his food, and 3-4 cows, and maybe a horse was there. So that's an impression. The son said, "Oh, you boy here, thank you for helping. Here I got a small bill for thanks." So that is kind of gone. Later on, I became a devotee, and I didn't really think about it. But then I went to India, and then I saw these cows everywhere. And but even in the towns, and they are eating anything and everything. Or in any small piece of land, there's anything going. And then when I came back from that experience, 75, then I, driving the Sankirtan van, I see, oh, that's nice grass. There a cow could go walking. There a cow could go on grassing. And I once saw how wasted things was with these cows. They couldn't, anything wasn't used. And then, later on in our movement, here in Europe and other places, when we got it a little bit together, we bought farms or places to stay and starting something. And I became part of one of them in Sweden, ISKCON. And I have had the opportunity to follow with how it has been going through, what is it? 30, good 30 years. And then also got the opportunity to be with the farms, with our cows, tried to help out. Whether it was so much of a help, I don't know, but it was a learning experience. And a cow doesn't live much more than 20 years, so I managed to see the birth, the growth, the living, the aging, the struggle at the end to keep them in a worthy condition, without having to kill them to their last life. So we have experienced that also. And okay, so now, I like the farms, I like the earth, I like the cows. I suppose it's a different quality to it. And maybe the communities, because that was one of our members told me at the preaching program. He came and visited and said, "Maharaj, you can't have farms unless you're a village. If you're just alone with the cows and trying to do everything proper, it's very difficult. So you need to be a village. But where is the villages nowadays? The old villages are gone. But still, so our place in Sweden, we at one point transformed the concept from a project to more of a village project. And that way it has survived some 20 years more. Okay, so that's a little bit, and then I got involved with this. Shamsundar Prabhu started the farm conferences here in Europe, and I thought, well, that's nice. That's a cool thing. It fits me. So I participated in our yearly cow conferences, our farm conferences, and became involved. And then ending up standing here as a ISKCON European Minister of Cow Protection and Farming. And and I say, well, it's going on, and I'm looking forward to see how it will go on, and we'll see how that's also to see how it started, how it will be going on, and then how it progress maybe in some way, in a dynamic way into the future. And I take it that this meeting here, some interesting things coming up, so it looks like to me. So I'm looking for, I think it may make a difference for how we progress. So I hope it makes a positive difference for the future development of our Hare Krishna communities and farms, and maybe also that way having possibility to show a good example or something for the rest of the society also. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Smitha Krishna Swami. I'd now like to invite our Global Minister for Cow Protection and Agriculture, His Grace Kalakantha Prabhu, who is very far travelled. While we were planning this over the last 6 months, every other day I phone him, he's in another part of the world. He truly is a globally concerned and active person, and he's from Brazil. And I called him once, he was in Hungary, another time he's in Brazil, and then he's in North America, and he's back in Europe, and so finally he's got to Scotland. But his vision is to try to create some global cohesion between all the farms where we can share best practices and take things to a different level. So we'd like to thank him for coming along, and we'll let you explain what the rest of the program is going to be for the next few days.
Hare Krishna, good morning to you all. For me, it's such a pleasure to be here. It's like a dream, actually, because we have such an incredible combination. We have such a small community who has been able to make one of the most interesting conferences. In number, at least, maybe we are the number one. We got the most attendees. So, not only that, we have here the presence of our, in our institution, our top leader for this region, which is Pragosh Prabhu. So we're very happy to have him here. It's very important for us to connect who is working daily on the ground and knows all the difficulties to the high leadership. So that's the huge goal we have in the ministry, and I'm really happy it's happening here. And I was also extremely happy to meet Dr. Lisa Cameron and see how she's concerned about health. That's the proper concern for a leader, of the welfare of the inhabitants of this place. So I'm really grateful that all of you came here from so far. And by now, I kind of know everyone as I look. I could greet each one by their name, it would take some time. But I have to say that this conference has grown into a family. It's like a family mood, where we meet together and we find solutions together. And when I came to this forum, I was surprised by the work, such an intimate connection, such a loving relationships. It conquered my heart. And I decided to abandon my work for the GBC at the time and serve this conference. But it so happened that I was asked to work in the capacity of a minister for the GBC, and so I did, and I ended up serving the conference as well. So I'd like to give you a quick perspective of what we're trying to accomplish. But before I do that, I just want to say something which we found on our trip, which I found incredibly interesting. As we are traveling, one of our delegates who came all the way from Australia, I'd like you to congratulate Ajita Prabhu right at the back. Can you stand up, please? All the way from Australia. He's a very successful manager in his project, and he's very good with the youth. So we brought him here to share with us that practice. And he's a very good observer, he's a good manager. So he observed that here, there was a person called Saint Mungo, and he launched a speech for Glasgow, And I was surprised to hear in his speech, the word says, Lord, let Glasgow flourish by the preaching of the word and the praising of thy name. I found that so relevant. And then just in sequence, we go to Findhorn, and we find one of the oldest communities in Europe. From 62 they started their works. And they're discussing sustainability. They are telling us how the Scottish government wants to repopulate the countryside, look at the villages, look at the welfare of the countryside. And I say, we're in the right place. A place for thy name and a place for sustainability. This is where we belong. So it is very, very enlivening to hear that. I'd also like to thank our delegate who came all the way from the USA. She's right here, is Yamuna Jivani. Please stand up. She's been working with making the same network for North America that wasn't present there. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you from my deepest heart. And thank you so much for making it here. And I do hope and I do pray that this is going to be a very enlightening event for all of us. And we're going to learn together and share our best practices and walk home full of enthusiasm. So, without much delay, I'll just give you a quick overview. What have you been doing? I'll just lower this a little bit. So let's see if this will work. It's supposed to work. How far away is it? Oh, it's supposed to work. Oh yes, it's working. It's working. Thank you, Janet. So, our institution has celebrated 50 years of existence. Just last year, we started our celebrations. And interestingly enough, it's been 50 years of cow protection. Our institution has been working with this concept of protecting the cows for 50 years. And it started in USA. Our leader is here. The slide, I'm sorry for the slide. He's right here. His followers. At this point in time, there's very little developed temples, are very scarce. And he's got one cow. And that cow is named Kalia. And with that cow, he inaugurated his cow protection program, the ISKCON cow protection program. So that's going to be 50 years next year. So we are planning to celebrate that, and we're planning to celebrate, if this slide will go. Maybe I have to point it. Well, technology has its... Oh yes. So there's a little history of that time. It started in '69 with a black Jersey cow with a white spot in the forehead, almost like a monk tilak, what you use here. She came in '69. Prabhupada first met her in May '69. Inspired by her black color, he gave her the name Kalia. As he sipped her fresh milk from a glass of devotees offer, Srila Prabhupada stated, I haven't tasted milk like this in 50 years. So he was so inspired by the quality of that milk that he was making such statements. When he came in his final moments in this planet, our spiritual master in 76, the New Vrindavan, this cow had a very special moment with him. As Prabhupada was walking with devotees along the pastures, Kalia saw him and came down from the hill. She began walking directly to him. Srila Prabhupada looked at her and said, Aha, my dear friend Kalia. She continued to walk with him for some time, then turned and went back to her herd. Kalia left her body in January 77. And our master left his body in November 77. So they seem to have some kind of connection. And they were starting what was to be a great revolution in the planet. You just see the pressure of the vegan movement today. So many people are worried about animal welfare, and at this time, very few. America had less than 1%, and today is over 13%. And I know Glasgow has a very intense population of people who worried about animal welfare. So it's a very fertile ground for us to plant the seed in this world. So, let's see what we got. Golden, yes. So next year we're planning to celebrate where it started, in North America, in New Vrindavan, the 50th anniversary of cow protection. And we want to make a farm conference. It's going to be the third North American Farm Conference, and we plan to make a very nice event, what we call the senior devotees, many experts, like a mini symposium, to discuss the theoretical, the philosophical, and the practical aspects of animal protection and ahimsa production. So that's the conference. We named it the turning point. We feel that the planet is going through a turning point. There is a turning point in consciousness. There's a turning point in consumption needs. The consumers are very specific about what they want to take because of health issues, because of social issues, because of lack of equality between nations. So there is a consciousness building, and we're coming to a turning point. So we named it, in our internal society, the turning point. But all of this experience starts out to manifest in something kind of more elaborate. And so these conferences started here, as Maharaj described very beautifully, in 2008, with the intention to make farmers less lonely. That was the initial intention. A second intention was to bring a global representative and meet everybody in one place. And then it evolved, and at this point, we are in Europe, North America, South America. We are making plans for Australia, and Russia is going on board. So our plan is to get our institution all on board. And for that, a few things needs to come in place. Sorry, I missed that. So what do we want with this conference? What is the purpose of you coming here? The purpose is, first, understand civilization. After you have a Mac, it's difficult going back to Windows. I mean, I just had one, and I just got addicted to it. You just drive. It's very practical. So if you preach now let's go back to Windows, kind of, after you have all your cars driving almost by themselves, then come on, let's get a ox cart there. It's a little hard. But we need to transition. So understanding of the challenge of this service is great, but it's really foundational. It's really important. And finding solutions collectively. There's so many groups, but we are a little isolated, so we need to kind of get ourselves together. A shared vision. We need to share a vision, because otherwise we become split projects without a vision. We don't sum up, we don't make a difference in the end. Create a network of experts and make the expertise. We started in 2016 making deliberate efforts to reach experts, to reach the leadership, to reach the political sphere. We want to network and understand how we, Hare Krishna community, can become a part of the solution. Because we do have solutions, but they're sometimes kept too much in-house. So you may think a Hare Krishna chants on the streets, gives a book, is very happy, and that's it. But actually this philosophy is so deep. There's so much to contribute in environmental relationships, biological relationships, human internal health with Ayurveda, and so many areas of integration. Finally, with yoga, integrating you as an eternal part with the divine. So this is a beautiful philosophy, and we do have something to share. And then finally, one of these objectives is to connect the continental teams. As you have observed, I have invited distant delegates who have come, and gradually we want to make a global network. So we are working towards that, and part of this conference is to tell us how we can do that. So, just to give you, this was the first North American conference, had only 8 participants, but all very enthusiastic, all really dedicated, invested, and it grew. This is Keshi Mardan, a young gentleman psychologist. He is the manager of the cows, one of the managers, and he also takes part in our team. And his mood is to share. So he's sharing a lot of knowledge with youth, colleges, retreats, and that's going well. They have about 90 cows, and they're serving about, I don't know how many temples and members with ahimsa milk. They send out their milk to them. This was New Vrindavan last year. We named Back to the Basics. So the first step was networking, then last year was Back to the Basics. And this year it's called the Turning Point. Now we want to start making a difference. So we're working towards that. We had here, you may have, the slides a little dark, this is Balabhadra Prabhu, one of the first ministers in ISKCON with cow protection. He was training the bulls with us. It was very nice to see him. And then 2020, we are heading towards a summit where all of these continental works meet. And perhaps the best place is already our International Leadership Sangha in Mayapur. We're discussing that possibility. If Europe is strong enough to hold it here, we change venues. We put up a little competition. And then we see how it goes. But Europe has a great tradition in Sweden with the Theosophic School in Jarna. They have all the anthroposophies, Steiners, they're there. Here we have Finnhorn. So there are great venues to hold such an event with a lot of, but you have to analyze if we are already to that stage. Or maybe we do a little in-house first, our first internal summit. So that's what we're planning, and we want all of you to start thinking as you're here, ideas, suggestions, and we'll be collecting these suggestions as we go during the conference. What could we tell the world? What could we learn from the world? What have we got to share already in our projects? So that's what a summit would be. And most important, what do we want to show the leadership? That's a leadership sangha. What do we want to tell them? And that's of course to create a vision, because you're creating a vision. If you just go one more, we want to see topics to address, and we want to see who would come to present. Maybe we find important ecologists from Scotland to come, animal activists, and other ideas to make this more attractive. So all of this, we would like you to think about that and give us some feedback. You're a valuable asset in our institution. You hold a lot of practical work on the ground, so we're really looking forward to that. And finally, please get involved, right, with this event. Oh, inviting speakers, you may invite someone, you can have promotional, you can make a connection with the local MP and say, here, look, we want to do a conference, what can we do together? We can do some fundraising, we can plan event, and many other things we can do together. So, thank you ever so very much for attending this conference, for coming here, sharing your experience with us. And I'll end here, and I think we'll be ready to the second part where we start the conference in itself. Yes? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Once again, we want to thank our representative from the Parliament to be here. Hare Krishna.
Hi, great conference.
Okay, so now we'll follow up. And the first presentation is Vishama Sundar Prabhu. He is coming up right now. And his topic is an interesting topic, an important topic, and the most relevant topic. which is, have you looked at your schedule? What does it say over there? Have a look. What does it say, Maharaj?